Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there is a ton of news stories to get into today. So let's talk about this big announcement, the relaunch of Women of Wrestling. Yes, the Women of Wrestling promotion is returning to television, and it's got a major partner in Viacom CBS. This was a big story that broke a couple of days ago now, and I waited at least 24 hours because I thought there would be more to come out of it, and there is. So certainly a massive story, this. The Women of Wrestling are coming back to television. The all-female professional wrestling promotion was announced on Wednesday, and they've announced that they have reached an exclusive multi-year deal with Viacom CBS, a massive player in American television. This is a really big deal, marking the return of the promotion to television and the largest distribution platform in the history of women's wrestling. This is why this is a very significant deal. New episodes of WOW, Women of Wrestling, will launch in weekend syndication beginning in the fall of 2022. So we're probably looking at September, October time next year. Historical seasons will also be available on CW Seed and Pluto TV platforms, expected in December of this year. Now, league owner and WOW executive producer Janie Buss said in a statement to Entertainment Tonight, quote, "Wrestling's presentation of women has long been very important to me. We are now presenting the epitome of sports entertainment that will highlight the athleticism of these superstars as we reintroduce WOW. Our partnership with the entire Viacom CBS Global Distribution Group family allows us to continue our mission of providing wrestling fans and WOW superheroes what they have all deserved, a global platform for a dedicated women's wrestling league." So this is obviously a massive deal, and the press conference was there on Wednesday, featured some big names. We'll touch on that in a second, but it's huge. Having Viacom CBS involved in this distribution deal is really big. This exclusive media rights deal gives the promotion distribution opportunities for the United States, obviously, but also around the world. As I mentioned, the prior seasons of WOW will be available on CW Seed and Pluto TV platforms just as December this year. We are going to have to wait a while, considering we're going to have to wait a year, pretty much, before the event, the actual weekly television show, starts to get syndicated and is going to launch in terms of syndication in the fall of 2022. The Viacom CBS distribution arm already has secured clearance in 160 markets. So again, I don't profess to be an expert in terms of syndication when it comes to American television. I obviously know in the 90s, several big shows, aired in syndication, Oprah, etc. So I don't know if we're not going to see viewing figures like that, certainly for Women of Wrestling, but it's a massive deal, and it goes to show. And I don't mean to, and you're turning everything back to AEW. Not everything's about AEW or that kind of stuff, but I think this kind of shows the impact of AEW. And what I mean by that is, again, WOW was founded in 2000 by David McLane, and he was also behind the women's wrestling promotion Glow, which of course was the inspiration for the Netflix series. The promotion is now owned by the LA Lakers, controlling over and president Jeannie Buss. So again, it's very well backed. But what I mean when it comes to AEW is, I think, really significant in this is that people that own these promotions, like Jeannie Buss or whoever, have seen the success of AEW on Warner Media, on TNT, and soon to be TBS, and seen that they've got a significant television rights contract now with Warner Media, and that you can create a professional wrestling promotion that can be mainstream or certainly can be successful. They've seen that and they've gone, you know what, we can do this. We absolutely can do this. And the thing is also is you need to find your niche audience. You need to find your audience. You need to be different. And launching an all-women's professional wrestling promotion, or relaunching it, if you will, it's now time. It's the right time. These promotions are very successful in Japan. Of course, you've got like Stardom, etc. And I don't know. I don't really know. We don't know how this one's going to play out. We don't. And I think us as pro wrestling fans, we're conditioned to be very skeptical. Whenever we hear about a new promotion launching, or a promotion coming back, or someone's got money, or someone's backing someone, until they've got TV, that's when you take them seriously. They've got an agreement with Viacom CBS. Absolutely have to take them seriously. We'll touch on names that they've got already attached to the product, but It is very significant, and I'm excited to see what happens. Again, nothing's going to be happening for a while in terms of weekly television. I don't know if they'll go the route of, say, an AEW, in the sense that they might do select pay-per-view events, because you have to remember that's what AEW did. AEW was officially launched in January of 2019, and AEW Dynamite didn't begin until October that year. We had to wait, 10 months for that to happen. But in the meantime, what did we have? We had Double or Nothing. We had All Out, we had Fyter Fest, we had Fight for the Fallen as well. So we had those shows in the meantime, and I don't know if they're going to go into the same situation for WOW, but I'm interested. I'm really curious, because I don't really think, even now, we kind of appreciate how big this could be. And again, it's going to be fascinating, absolutely fascinating, and it's going to be interesting to see what other names they get attached to this product. So I'm for it. I'm all for it. I'm all for more professional wrestling promotions, more places for people to go to work, and I'm interested to see what happens. The real big, I think, surprising one that came out of this, because we'd heard the rumors about WOW, we'd heard the rumors about Tessa Blanchard, we'll talk about that in a second, but the big surprising news story to come out of Wednesday and the relaunch of WOW was the return of AJ Mendez, to professional wrestling. Now, she's not going to be wrestling, but she's going to be the executive producer of Women of Wrestling. This is a massive story. So, former WWE Divas champion AJ Lee announced a shock return to wrestling on Wednesday. Lee, now working under her real name, of course, as AJ Mendez, has joined the relaunched WOW Women of Wrestling, which has signed a deal with Viacom CBS. Now, Mendez will also be the color commentator for the show and will also act as an executive producer alongside Jeannie Buss. Now, she said a couple of quotes at the press conference, which you can see her there at the press conference. She said, quote, "But my goal after wrestling was to create those characters for the next generation, so every little girl could see themselves on TV and know that nothing was impossible." So it's a massive deal. AJ, of course, announced her retirement from WWE in April 2015. She was a 3-time Divas champion. At one point, held the record for the longest title reign. Certainly, many female wrestlers that are wrestling today, or people that are coming into the wrestling industry now that are females, cite her as a big inspiration. She was one of the people that definitely helped spearhead WWE trying to give women's wrestling a chance in WWE. And that's significant. Now, I know a lot of people had hoped that AJ Lee would be coming back to wrestle, and we don't know if she will be eventually. From what we've heard, and certainly from what I've read, that doesn't look like it's going to happen at all. By all accounts, AJ Lee's had some significant neck and spine injuries, and she's just not really interested in returning to the ring in that sense. I think it was a report by Fightful came out and said that several promotions over the years had reached out to AJ about possibly wrestling, and essentially her response was she wasn't interested as long as unless she was going to be booking or doing that kind of stuff, which it looks like she's going to be doing. So this isn't a situation kind of like an AEW where you've got Tony Khan, who of course is the owner and president. He's also doing the booking. It looks to be a situation whereby you've got Jeannie Buss, who of course is the owner and she is the money person, if you will, but it looks like the booker, the executive producer, is going to be AJ Lee. So the creative is coming from AJ, the storylines, the outcomes are all coming from AJ. That's her domain, and I guess I'm sure that Jeannie will have an input into all of that, but mainly the creative and the day-to-day running of all of these shows and tapings is going to come from AJ Lee. Now, obviously, a critic to that could say, well, what experience does AJ Lee have to be an executive producer of a show? And she doesn't. She doesn't. You know, she's a very famous pro wrestler. I think part of it does come into it that she's a name. She's a name that people know. She's a name that people want to see back in pro wrestling. And it does add a serious amount of credibility to the promotion, to the product, doesn't it? That AJ Lee's involved in that. Oh, wow, really? Is she wrestling? No, well, she's the commentator and she's also the executive producer. People will watch because she's attached to it. Now, again, reportedly, the reason why in the past she had said to people that she didn't want to return to pro wrestling is she's got lots of other projects going on as well. We know that she has things going on in Hollywood, TVs, films. She's written books, etc. I think they're looking to turn her book into actually a film as well. So she's very busy as well. So she doesn't really have the time to be wrestling. Reportedly, when this promotion returns, it's hardly going to be a full-time job, but still being an executive producer of a program is a significant amount of time to be contributing to a product. So I'm very happy to see her come back, but just because she was a great pro wrestler, of course, doesn't necessarily mean she will be a great booker or a great executive producer, but people deserve a chance. I've said this time and time again, part of the problem sometimes with pro wrestling, and we've kind of seen it with the rise of Tony Khan in AEW, having his own company, is that for several years, certainly since the Attitude Era or since the late 90s, there's kind of a feeling of there's only certain people that get those executive positions, and it's the people that have always had them, whether it's Bruce Pritchard, whether it's Paul Heyman, whether it's Eric Bischoff, whether it's John Laurinaitis or Jim Ross or whatever it may be. The people that have been in charge of those executive positions since way back in the day tend to keep them, and you don't see too many people get added to it. You don't see too many people get an opportunity to be in creative or be an executive producer or book for a company or whatever that may be, or it's Vince Russo writing the television show, you know? So why not give other people an opportunity? We've seen that people can have different ideas, and surely these people nowadays, and I mentioned this in my WWE news video earlier, that these people like AJ Lee, she's going to have certainly a better idea of what the younger fan or the more modern pro wrestling fan wants to see, certainly out of women's wrestling, than, say, a Bruce Pritchard or a Vince Russo. You know what I mean? So I'm not against it at all. Again, I know people will say, well, she doesn't have the experience, but I think also they're trying to get a name attached to the product to get people talking about it as well. And AJ Lee just does exactly that. So I'm excited to see that too. Obviously, a controversial name also announced for it is Tessa Blanchard. Now, Tessa Blanchard will reportedly, well, not reportedly, she is going to be a key figure in the revival of the Women of Wrestling promotion. Now, the former Impact World Champion, who of course was stripped of the title and saw her contract terminated just before it was set to expire in June 2020, has made her return to the big stage as she was confirmed to be part of the relaunch show when it hits the television screens in 2022. Now, speaking to Entertainment Tonight, she said, quote, "Wrestling has taken me all over the world. I've gotten to live in different countries and win championship titles all over the world, but now with WOW, this is without a doubt the biggest platform in women's wrestling in history. To be a part of it, it's a testament that we're changing the status quo for women's wrestling, for being a professional, for professional wrestling altogether, and it's such a blessing to be a part of it." Now, obviously, there is a lot of controversy. There is a significant amount of controversy when it comes to Tessa Blanchard. Nobody will ever doubt the talent that Tessa Blanchard has. She is a tremendous professional wrestler. Of course, she's also, third generation. Father's Tully Blanchard. She started training when she was 18, worked on the independent scene, made 3 appearances in NXT, and she also was in the Mae Young Classic, but didn't get a contract there. She joined Impact in 2018, made her debut at Redemption. She went on to win the Knockouts Championship. She won the Impact World Championship, first ever female to win a male-dominated world championship in a major promotion. But at the time, she was accused of using a racist slur against independent wrestler La Rose Negra, which she has vehemently denied on a number of occasions. She said on the allegations, and that's not the only allegation, but she certainly has been plagued by accusations of racist and bullying behavior by multiple female pro wrestlers. She said, quote, "To read this allegation has been personally upsetting. To be clear, I did not use that word. That word is not in my vocabulary. That word is not in my heart. Racism is not in my heart." However, of course, several wrestlers have come forward to say that they saw her use the word and were there to see this incident when it happened, and also have accused Tessa Blanchard of bullying as well. Now, obviously, since her departure from Impact Wrestling, there have been multiple reports that at different times WWE and AEW were interested in bringing her in. Every single time those reports have come out, essentially people from AEW or WWE have reached out to the reporters and said, nope, not true, we have no interest, she has nuclear heat, because the PR associated with bringing in Tessa Blanchard would be so much that it just wouldn't be good for any company. The negative outweighs the positive when it comes to bringing in Tessa Blanchard to a pro wrestling company. And just nobody was interested in doing that. Previously, I said if any company was going to do it, it was WWE, because even though they're publicly traded, they tend to not really care about PR. I mean, they're going back to Saudi Arabia later this month, so it kind of sums WWE up. But that's not going to happen. Even WWE didn't want to touch Tessa Blanchard, and WOW have done it. And obviously, as to be expected, they've got heat from it, because a lot of people are saying, why is she being given an opportunity to work? Not only is she being given an opportunity to work, she's essentially the centerpiece of this brand new promotion that's got to deal with Viacom CBS. That's a big deal, a really big deal. And maybe this is going to be the way she rebuilds her reputation, but people don't forget. Maybe in the past, without social media or without information as readily available as it is today, maybe people would have forgotten in the past. People don't forget now, especially when you don't apologize. She hasn't apologized because she said it's not true. So again, people aren't going to be willing to forgive and forget when she can't even apologize herself. And people are obviously calling out WOW over it. And again, there's something we'll talk about in a second about this, but especially when the TV show launches next year, it's still going to be an issue. So I don't see this issue going away. I don't see those allegations or anything going away anytime soon. And at a time there's so much controversy going on with stuff like Dark Side of the Ring and those kind of programs shining a light on the darker side of pro wrestling, as they should, and highlighting things that have been wrong or highlighting behaviors that are unacceptable, you still get people that are getting opportunities despite that. And I think it's going to be a thing to go on and continue to rumble on. And it looks like this is the thing I think that really has pushed people over the edge when it comes to the Tessa Blanchard situation with WOW. Is Tessa Blanchard has released some merch on PWTs, and it's obviously WOW inspired, but it says nuclear. And obviously this refers to the report, I believe, by Cassidy Haynes of Bodyslam.net, where he basically said that WWE and AEW, they weren't interested in Tessa Blanchard because she had nuclear heat. Everyone assumed that she was nuclear. Don't go anywhere near her. Again, the positives are just nowhere near the negatives in this one, so it's not worth bringing her in. So what has WOW and Tessa Blanchard done? They're trying to capitalize on that. They're trying to make merch. And it's sort of, you sit back and go, so wait a minute. You're being accused of this terrible behavior. You're being accused of being a bully. You're being accused of saying racist words. You're being accused of racist behavior. You're being accused of some terrible stuff. And what are you doing? You're trying to poke fun at that? You're trying to make money off that? You're trying to profit off that? I'm nuclear. Look at my t-shirt. Yeah, I know. I'm accused of some terrible stuff. Are you crazy? What do you think, Hulk Hogan's going to do the same thing like that? No, of course not. It's crazy. And I think people are looking at that going, you're trying to make money off bad behavior that, remember, you didn't do. You didn't do this stuff, so you're going to have a t-shirt trying to hint that you did do it or trying to embrace that bad reputation you have. I'm with those people when I say that's too much for me. That's too much for me. And again, maybe it comes back to, any publicity, there's no such thing as bad publicity. It gets people talking about her and WOW. But from the outset, do they want to have this progressive promotion whereby it's women's, it's a women's wrestling promotion, it's inclusive, and they're going to have featuring, women's pro wrestling and raise the profile of women's pro wrestling, and that's going to be a centerpiece of it. Someone that's accused by her fellow female pro wrestlers as being a bully and a racist, allegedly. I don't know how good that sounds, and I don't know if that's the kind of PR that a brand new promotion that's just signed with Viacom CBS actually wants to have. So we'll wait and see about that one. I don't think that merchandise is going to last that long. But look, guys, as always, it's just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts on the relaunch of Women of Wrestling? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll do my best to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys, talking about WWE, AEW, Impact Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, and now, I guess, Women of Wrestling. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll do my best to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys, talking about all of those promotions. Be sure to smash a like on the video as well. Really just help us out here on YouTube. Go up the rankings and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos previously. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestling News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now, or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video along with another video for you to watch. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or having come across this video today, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.